welcome to the podcast, Eye for Talent, the show where, we have an eye for talent. I'm your host, Dylan, aka DJ Cereal Sauce. I'm a Twitch streamer, YouTube content creator, music producer, and probably a couple of other things that I can't think of right now. And with me for the very first episode of this new exciting series, if you want to call it that, is Babbit Things, aka Babbit, aka Babs, aka whatever the hell else she wants to be called. She is a Twitch streamer, graphic artist, VTuber, all-around doodler, and gremlin, as well as a bun. Like half of those are names that she gave herself. So welcome on.
Hi, hello. This is pretty awesome sauce to be here. It's kind of cool. Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for coming on here. I think this is probably one of the better ways that this could have started, because I had a friend who I was going to start this podcast with, because I have a lot of conversations about music talk with him. And then you wouldn't believe it, the motherfucker goes and finds a job where he's working 5 p.m. to 2 in the morning.
Yeah, but you know what though? I always tell people that the hustlers, gotta respect the hustlers who be working them crazy hours.
I mean, yeah, sure. Good on him, man. I'm happy that he's like found a job, and as long as he doesn't like want to die, like that's cool.
True.
But the thing that upsets me is I gave him all the details that he needed to know like a month ago, and then come the day where I need to actually record with him, and he gets back to me and he's like, "Oh yeah, I start a new job today." And I was like, "Oh yeah, what time?" And he was like, "I start at 5 p.m." I'm like, "What kind of job did you fucking find?"
That's quite the time.
I'm like, I'm so pissed off right now. How did you manage to do that? And so now every time the conversation of the start of this podcast came up around him, he gets like defensive. He's like, "Bro, I didn't mean to abandon you like that." And I'm like, "Hey man, it's not a huge deal. It's just at some point you've got to free up your schedule, because I'm not allowing this show to go on without knowing that you're going to be on here at some point." So that's where I'm at with him. So I've instead flipped the script and just decided, I'm going to just make a leap of faith and talk to somebody who I don't even think, it has been in this kind of show structure before.
It was me.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's fun. So hopefully this can encourage anybody to come on here. If, even if you're as much of a quote unquote nervous wreck as Babbit was here before she jumped on, you should be okay.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I don't mean that derogatorily. All right. Don't be cool, bro. Be cool. So I've got a lot of questions lined up for you here. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of them came from my friend who also happens to be, who consumes your content quite a lot. Shouts out Il Lovelace, aka Alec. He's cool with me name dropping him on here.
Oh yes, Lovelace. Good name.
He's awesome.
Good lurk.
We love him. He loves the emotes that you do. He loves all that stuff. So most of these questions come from him, because he ends up in not only your streams a lot, but he gets distracted with other streams open, and then those streamers raid him into other streamers, and then he gets to see their content, and he inexplicably gets gifted subs to their channel, and then the cycle continues.
That's my favorite part about Twitch. The random gifts. The random gifted sub.
Yeah, it's great. It's hilarious, because I'll be like going through I'll be going through just like an emote, just going through all the emotes that I have to just be like, what would be the most appropriate thing to put here? And I'm like, who is this person? I've never heard of them before. So that's
I love going through like someone's emotes, especially if I don't know the person. I'm like, what kind of vibe can I pick up from their emote?
Yeah, like what kind of inside jokes are coming out of this? That was great. So shouts out, Alec. If you listen to this might be one of the only podcasts that you're able to listen to because you hate your own voice, I guess. He's fine. He's okay. So we're just going to jump right into it, because I don't know how long these are going to take.
Sure.
Hopefully it takes up the allotted time that I'm kind of thinking. But the first question, and the simplest question, I think, is how and when did you get started in the whole digital art space?
In the digital art space?
I guess art as an all-encompassing form, if you didn't start with digital art. However you want to answer the question.
Well, yeah, I was originally traditional. I guess my first memory is I doodled a rose when I was like very young, I guess as a kid, pre-teen. And my parents were like, "Oh, you really got a knack for drawing." So it started very young, and I've just been drawing for majority of my life on and off. But for the digital scene, I think I got into digital art uh maybe like just a few years ago. I got my hands on an iPad mini. um I kind of like how would I say? I didn't get it in a raffle. I in my job you kind of get those brownie points for like good customer service.
Okay.
And I hustled my way to so many like star points and got the iPad that way.
All right. That might be the most impressive. Well, let me think. That's probably like the second most impressive.
I was like the prime example for customer service for like quite a while. Whenever they would bring up, oh, you can earn star points and Babs here got an iPad mini or whatever. And I was like, please don't talk to me like that. I don't want people to know how hard I grinded.
Do not use me as an example for you taking advantage of how much
I
I
don't
work in my
even
job.
like it here.
Yeah, this is horrible. I will say I think that might be the best, if not the second best, reward that I've ever heard of somebody receiving at a job. Because
they changed the system soon after like I got the iPad mini.
they were like, we didn't think anybody was going to get this. This is impressive, and now we can't. Nobody can ever have it again.
Yeah, because they had to like just give it to me. It was like they're imaginary like raffle tickets or something like that.
Yeah, they're like we're going to put all these raffle tickets in like a turnstile, like a turn. What the hell are they called? Like the things that spin all like the little balls for bingo and whatever. And then somebody like accidentally actually put the tickets in a thing. So somebody actually won
and took the max prize.
They're like, all right, nope, shut it down. No more star systems.
Yeah.
So
they changed the systems sometime after I won. They made it harder to earn points.
That's a little bit rough. At the current job that I work, they there was a company we were working with that was providing like sports supplement drinks and whatever. And soon after, or I think right before we kicked them out, or right before they left, they sent pallets and pallets of mini fridges. And so like everybody in the building just had to like walk out into the warehouse, go grab a mini fridge and haul it all the way back to their vehicle. I'm like, where the hell?
It's like, I mean, that's a lot of effort. Mini fridge, depending on the size, it's pretty heavy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I'm like, I've worked a lot of my jobs, and that might just be the best benefit that I've ever gotten. Namely because I haven't gotten many benefits at other places. Yeah. So that was great. So
I think fun fact, Lumi inherited that iPad mini that I had.
Oh, it's a hand me down.
Yeah, Donna Lumi got it. Has it right now.
That's how it did. You're like, here's all my old files. Now you go do something with them. Oh shit, I feel like there was actually something. So okay. So I guess I'm wondering, like, you were a young one, and you just drew a rose. Like what were you drawing roses for? Like, did you just do it because you saw one?
Good question. Do you know at the mall how like they'll put your picture in like a glass,
like a display,
like this intricate glass piece, and they'll put it on top of a light and it changes colors?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. I had one, and it was Tinkerbell flying, and she was watering a rose. And my like preteen self looked at the rose inside that glass, and I was like, I'm gonna draw that. And I have no other reason why. I just saw it and I was like, I'm gonna draw it.
Oh no, I mean that totally makes sense. I suppose the reason that people would start these kinds of things can be as in-depth or as shallow as one could imagine, just dependent on how old they were.
I had a thing for Tinkerbell and fairies growing up, so like I admired it a lot. It was like a kind of like a nightlight. It didn't give off like a ton of light, but like it had a little stand, and you press the button, it would light up a little RGB.
Yeah,
and it was, to me, it was like, the best.
Yeah, I'm sure my significant other, I'm sure she would probably see something like that now and be like, "Can I get that?" I'd be like, "Why are you asking me? It's your money. It's like you're the one you'd be the one buying it." But I guess it's the difference of like when you were young, you were like, "I want to draw this rose because it looks nice in this Tinkerbell display light up case thing." Whereas if you did it when you were a little bit older, it would probably be like, my dumbass art teacher made us made us like draw something, and I realized, oh hey, I might actually be good at this or something.
Yeah, it was my parents that were like encouraging me to seek out my art endeavors and all that. And he was yeah, middle school teacher who also encouraged me and stuff like that. And it helps to have the encouragement when you're young.
Oh, I mean, yeah, obviously. Uh, so that's cool. That's good to know. I think I brought this up one time in your chat where I was just talking about like I think it's funny to look at the reasons that people started doing whatever they did. Like if somebody lands their ass on this podcast, like I think it's funny to just figure out like why they started doing whatever is the reason that they're on here. Because like I tell this to everybody who even remotely cares about what I do, but like when I was only a little bit younger, like this was like 3-4 years ago, I was making I made a YouTube video for a debate class, realized I might actually be good at it, started making videos, got copyright striked for a song that I thought was royalty free, and
Rip.
and then decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna make this music, I'm gonna make this my own music so that I can't be copyright striked for this. So
Oh yeah.
so that's why I'm where I'm at. But I also understand the fact that not everybody's gonna have nearly as like comical of a start, and some people are just like, I saw a rose in a light up
It
case.
was just as simple as that. There's no like massive inspiration. It's just like I look at this every day or slash every night, and I was like, I really just want to draw the rose that she's watering.
Yeah. It's just a rose, people. It's not
Yeah.
that it doesn't have to be that complicated. Okay, so what's the next one? So, okay, I don't know everything that you like do in the art sphere. I've obviously seen things that you've done through various mediums. So, I'm curious, how did you come upon making art in the kind of aesthetic and style that you do? Like was it through you basically just kind of experimenting around and figuring out what you might have been good at? Did you have a concept of what you wanted to create when you started really going hard at making art? Or did you maybe have some kind of inspiration behind
I
something that
want
you
to
consumed?
say my current inspiration is the artist Nuka Babe, where I mentioned before, like I purchased her chibi bases and what have you. And I purchased them when I was feeling really low at a point in my life. I had stopped drawing, I was career hustling, and everything was going great. And then, like, things kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm just gonna draw. Like, it's been years since I like did anything with my art. But like when you take a couple years break from drawing, you're kind of like starting from square one again.
Yeah.
So I saw these on Etsy, and she has a Patreon and all that jazz, and I support her there as well. And I purchased them, and for the first couple illustrations I did with them, they were really crusty, and I didn't show anybody. Um, and then after a while, I was just like sharing them to my group of friends, like Maple and the others.
Just to kind of be
And
like,
then,
hey, look at this silly thing I'm working on.
yeah, it kind of like ignited my love for art again.
Okay.
Cause right now, definitely my style is influenced by Nuka Babe, which at this very moment I'm trying to move away from that. But funny enough, I used to be a texture artist, which is sometimes I talk about on stream. A 3D texture artist.
Oh, so making full like 3D styled
Yeah.
renderings of things?
Mm-hmm. I got my hands on Photoshop and figured out how to texture 3D models. So I never actually did the models myself. I just figured out how to create and paint my own textures for the models.
Okay. Looking it up right now, and I see what you're getting at.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I've done like I try to dabble in like anything that I find creative,
Or just
which is like
anything you just
hence
see
the
it
name
and it's
Babbitt Things,
interesting.
because I'm always trying something. Like I want to try making my own VTuber, and I have a friend who's like really hooked on VR, and they're like, "You should try making a model," and I'm like, "That's my to-do list."
My to-do list that's like 5,000 characters long.
Yeah,
Or
like
something.
I might not get to it this year, maybe next year.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Depends on what comes in the way.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
If I can get my hands on the program, I'm gonna attempt it.
Oh, absolutely. No, that makes sense. The fuck around and find out method, my favorite.
Yes, for art.
I tend to think of it for like anything, as long as it's not
Yeah.
like damaging anybody. Don't be safe out there, everyone.
Yes.
I don't know what I was trying to
For
imply by
sure.
that. So I actually went and found the person who you were referring to. I found their stuff, and I see exactly what you're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, I mean this, this looks like
Nuka Babe. She's a lovely person. I messaged her directly and expressed how like her bases kind of gave me what's the word? I guess like a refresh on art.
Yeah.
Because I never really did anime art like this particular style ever. So it was just welcoming, and I was able to create, my OCs or just whatever I wanted without the struggle of like anatomy. Because I was like, I once practiced anatomy a long time ago, but I'm so rusty at it. I just didn't want to relearn it and struggle.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Especially if you, depending on in the mediums in which you kind of express these kinds of things, if it looks weird, you're gonna get clowned on. Like
yeah, so it's just like I just wanted to look visually appealing, and I was just satisfying myself at the time.
Yeah, it's kind of like I think this was a mild conversation that we had previously, where it's like recognizing when you're like 90% capable of doing something, and you just need that 10% to kind of push you over the edge to finally finish something. Where it's like, I suck at anatomy, and I don't want to go through the process of learning it right now. So let me use resources that are at my disposal, or by quote unquote networking with people, finding what I like, and then doing what I know I can be very good at.
Graphic design. Graphic design, I find it can be very resource heavy because there's so many like websites like what's a website? A lot of graphic design. I think it's like Pexels. It's like a free resource for like photos, like royalty free photos. Love royalty free stuff. If it's free, it's for me. So it's great, and with Nuka Babe's things, she has very simple like process. You purchase them. You don't have to directly credit her. I have her credited like I think on my Ko-Fi. And then she's like, you can just make profit, you can make commissions, you can do whatever, have fun. Be artistically free with them.
Yeah, because I suppose at that point it's like it's the difference between, like, obviously these are two extreme ends of the spectrum, but it's like on one hand, you're crediting somebody if they're making the majority, if not the entirety, of a specific piece of art that you have, whether it's a character, whether it's a background, whether it's whatever. But if somebody's literally just giving you like this, like what the hell are those? Those weird like wooden figures that people who do a lot of painting do to like, or the like the modeling, the wooden modeling things.
Yeah, they're like the artist pose models.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that kind of equivalent where it's like the credit isn't necessary because at the very basic, unless I'm incredibly ignorant, that's the very basics of what they're giving you is just here's a body to put stuff on.
And then I try to do my own like flair. Sometimes I'll like change the arms and stuff, do my own hair or face and eyes. So I definitely try to like put my own spin on it. But like definitely like some of the poses are just like, I don't just feel like doing the anatomy.
Yeah. But even then,
but yeah, it's made me very happy. And it's brought me where I am now. So giving credit where credit is due.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shouts out. And based on how this conversation has gone so far, it's also like this is enabling me to like I'm stable in what I'm doing right now. So now it might be time for me to go and fuck around with something that I don't understand very well. and have that like stability on the back end if necessary.
Yeah, I gotta get my hands on some anatomy books again.
Yeah. Anatomy creeps me out. I don't like it.
It could be very interesting.
Yeah, I guess the
Uh,
concept of
it
anatomy.
depends on the person. When you study anatomy, you're almost on the same spectrum as nurses and doctors when
Yeah.
you're studying the in depth of anatomy.
Yeah, and I think it's the in-depth of anatomy that's described in like medical books that makes me uncomfortable. I
Mhm.
don't like seeing people's insides. It's weird. Their bones are funny, but
Squishy.
their flesh and their muscles. I'm like, I don't like that. That creeps me out. But okay. So the next thing, I guess doesn't. Whatever. The next thing that I have is what's your favorite piece of art that you've made, or something that you are the most proud of, knowing that you've created it, whether or not it's publicly available or if it's just in your little stash.
Something that's in my stash. That is a pretty hard question because I'm thinking of like artwork that I made forever ago, like um artwork that I textured
Oh, okay.
and made like I want to say like the peak of my creativity was when I was doing 3D texturing. So it's really hard to pick something from that batch.
Yeah, from that long ago.
Yeah, I guess my personal favorite would be my PNG tuber.
That's fair.
I've gotten compliments that she looks like a VTuber. Like when people pop into stream and they're there for a bit and they're like, "Oh, I just realized you're not a VTuber, you're a PNG tuber." And I
Oh,
know
I see what
some
you're saying.
people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, they're one and the same." But like, she's obviously not like 2D modeled and moving.
Right.
She just blinks and talks.
Yeah.
I think that's like a great compliment.
I was for a second like I know the difference between the two because I also have my own, not in like the same regard. But when you said that, I was confused for a second, and then so I realized maybe I'm a part of that. I guess it's also kind of the difference between a simulation of a character being 3-dimensional, like you can kind of see like the side of them a little bit, versus yeah, literally just like frame one, they're looking straight ahead, and then there's an alternate frame where they're blinking, and then another alternate frame where they're talking. Like
Yeah.
I use the most simplest of things, which is when they're not talking, when they are talking, and then the same versions, but occasionally blinking and whatnot. So,
I for my PNG tuber, this is technically the third variation. I have two chibi models, and then I have this one, and I went pretty wild with making the expressions, and I think that really like I don't know pops for my stream that
yeah.
I have all these expressions for her. It's just a simple flat PNG model.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely almost like unintentionally gives the illusion of a character whose expressions are also partially in correlation with the actual person behind the camera. Um, but yeah, I think it is pretty impressive to see, and I can totally understand why people quote unquote fall for that. Although I do think a part of it comes from the fact that some of them like kind of understand the difference, some of them kind of don't. It doesn't matter. Um, so that's a strong contender. I mean, that character is also like that character is also the template for 99 to 100% of the emotes that you have. It's the inspiration behind the picture that you have right now for your Discord profile picture, which it took me a little bit to realize actually what it was. So that's a strong contender.
Yeah, I've Babbitt has been with me for a hot minute. Babbitt was originally a furry.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Like,
She's just like changed, but I feel like I've always had that cozy brown color palette.
oh yeah, and I think now you now you're in the territory where people have this like they have a soft spot for human characters that have some semblance of an animal characteristic to them. Um,
definitely a theme for VTubers.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is about it. I don't know what the psychology of it is that gets to people like that. It's probably just like if it's a well-designed character, if anything, the quote-unquote animal aspects of it aren't like they're not the thing that pop out to people. It's just something that they notice later on, but they're already so enamored with
I feel like
how
the personality
it looks.
tends to match with the animal that they're trying to be, I guess.
Yeah,
Maybe. Maybe.
I mean,
I'm
based
trying to
on
think of
just a couple
like
I've seen, I think I'd have to agree.
let me see. I'm trying to think of a VTuber who's like ah what's her name? I think it's Bao. She's the whale girl.
Oh, that's funny.
And she's got this like wild and very flirty and like energy, but like her animal is a whale.
Yeah, which that's probably just a representation of an animal that they tend to like a lot, and that's totally fair.
Yeah, that's also works as well.
So, all right, nice. Yeah, I was trying to think of some others because like there's only I think there's only genuinely 3 Twitch like VTuber esque characters that I've seen where and I mean 2 of them I like quote unquote know. That's not really the most appropriate word to use, but like 2 of them I quote unquote know, and one of them is actually somebody that I literally just found yesterday. And after looking at the 3 models relative to how the people talk, what they do, and all this stuff, I'm like, yeah, those match up. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's fun to see someone's like personality really mesh well with the character that's been designed or what they imagined for themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, and that's why I like to decide to break the status quo. And I'm like, my character's a carton of milk wearing headphones, and they're like, what the fuck does that even mean? I'm like, I don't know. I just thought it'd be funny. It's a pun. It's a play on words.
I like funny stuff as well. My friend is 13 random letters.
Yeah,
He's
and
like if you count the letters in his name, it's a joke. It's perfect.
yeah, I remember you bringing that up, and I was like, holy, this is the biggest brain thing I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, yeah, it's been his name for so long, and I didn't get it right away. In the first couple like months of our friendship, and like I really sat there, like counting all the numbers. I was like 1, 2, 3. It really is 13 letters. I feel so stupid.
I think that's less about you being stupid, and I think that's more about him being a fucking genius.
Genius.
Because yeah, again, I don't think anybody would ever like know that.
Yeah.
Be like, what? So that's great. And just as a little humble brag, all the artists that I've talked to, when I give them the concept for the character, they're like, that is probably one of the most outlandish things I've ever heard. And I'm like, thank you. They're like, it's a good thing.
It's
I'm like,
great,
all right,
though.
thanks.
Simple concept, you know?
Exactly. So, okay. Next question is, so at what point in time through all of your art escapades, that might not be the appropriate word, through all of this stuff, did you decide that your skills specifically were good enough to either maybe make money off of it or just to decide I'm going to start just showing this to the world via streaming or via any other outlet?
I guess it has to be right around the time where I started streaming, which was late 2022. And I was still like just doing doodles. I was doing like the little Discord reactive for my friend group of something stupid.
Yeah.
And because I think we were still using like our Discord photos and what have you.
Oh, yeah, like
And
the
I
default
was,
profile pictures and things.
yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't have anything yet. Mabel had her current model, and Weeb had his previous model. And yeah, I was just drawing my friends. I didn't ask for anything for it, and people were like, "They look great. Can I get one?" And I was like, "Oh shit! What? What? How do I get? You want to give me money? Oh fuck! How much is your work worth? That's a great question.
Don't fucking know.
Yeah." And I went through like this where I was charging like around $20 for it, and people were like, "You charge way like not enough."
Yeah.
And I felt bad because I was like, "Well, I'm using these chibi bases." And like a lot of my friends were like, "Yeah, but it's like 50-50. You do like the base is there and then you put so much effort on top of it, like, you know, making your own pose and changing things around and then the coloring and the shading and all that on top." And I'm like, ah.
Yeah, no, I see exactly what you're getting at, because I guess as a quick aside, this is just like a mono conversation here. I've learned that people do not care about
Oh.
I haven't finished yet. I people, like, they don't care about what they don't care about what steps you had. How do I explain this? Like, people will
As
obviously,
long as it's not like you're not like stealing or like, tracing artwork. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I guess I mean, like you have a lot of these hangups about using these bases and whatnot because it might feel a
Mhm.
little bit like cheating and whatnot. And I've learned that, like, especially because most people don't understand the work that you have to go through to get the final product to them, or just to the eyes of the people that you're showing it to.
Yeah.
They're not gonna care about if you use a base because they don't even know what that means. So, like,
Yeah.
the best comparison I can make, and this might not make sense to you, which is exactly the point. When I started making music, I was very self-conscious about using like samples and whatnot. And then I realized it doesn't matter because people don't understand what it means to use a sample
Yeah.
in making music, because people don't know anything about what it takes to make music. So I've learned you just use the tools that you have. And again, as long as you aren't stealing anything, pirating anything, or just, basically trying to cover up somebody else's artwork as your own because you think that you can
Yeah,
simply
that's
recolor it, they don't care.
that's what it felt like. And then um the only time I ever felt like, I guess, put down was by other artists where I was being open about, I'm like, "Oh, well, I used Nuke Babe's bass," and they were like, "Oh, but you should just do it yourself and not rely on a bass." And I was like,
I guess I'll just go
I don't
fuck
like the way
myself.
that made me feel.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave. Like, it was an artist like Discord group where we're all like, artists just mingling and hyping each other up. And I was like, no,
I'm just gonna leave.
no, because I've personally chatted like with Nuka in like a little Instagram message or whatever, and she's just like does not even care if you credit her or not. She's just like, I just want to make people happy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I found other people who also use them and make their own designs and do commissions with them, and I was just like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. There's just some artists out there that like frowned upon it.
Yeah.
So shame on them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shame on them. Shame on, really, in any creative industry ever. To anybody listening out here, in any creative industry, you're going to have people who are going to gatekeep telling you that you're not a real artist, you're not a real whatever if you use X, Y, and Z things. They are not monoliths. They are not the authority on this.
Yeah.
And they're being gatekeepy, and I don't know what kind of mental gymnastics they have to go through to just assume that. No, I do kind of get it, but statute of limitations, like, there's only so much that
And
you
like, I
can do.
just this made me feel good, and you want me to struggle and, yeah, maybe, reference and start from the skeleton model, the stick figure pose. I could if I, really put my heart into it, but, I'm also lazy.
You're like, I did not take anatomy in college. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh no, I did.
Okay, well, now I'm seeing the problem.
I know I'm lazy.
No, that's fair.
It's hard.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Learning anatomy. I did the whole skeleton drawing and artwork and scaling. Oh, it was anatomy is like a long process to
Yeah.
get it right, like in the long term. And I'm like, I just want to have fun, and this makes me happy, and it's made other people happy.
Yeah, and eventually it gets to a point where it's like, if you're making me spend all this time making a skeleton of a character, by the time I'm finished with the skeleton, I'm going to not even want to work on this project, and it's gonna suck.
Exactly.
So
I want to like get to the end result as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And I want to put on the sprinkles and the cherry on top.
You're like, I just don't have the cone. You're like, I don't know how to make ice cream cones. I don't like what?
It's like, I don't feel like making the cone. I'm just going to get a cup.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that hard of a concept.
It's the same thing. It's still delicious.
Yeah, exactly. Or, just like you're like, I have a bowl. I have a ceramic bowl. And I'll just have some ice cream there. I don't need the shell. Why do you do this to me?
Yeah.
But eventually I came around to the point of like, there's a whole thing where it's like, if people are going to say that you're cheating because you're using resources from other people and whatever, eventually you can just keep breaking the argument down where it's like, well, then I could make my own skeletons and my own bases. And then it's like, yeah, but then one could argue that you're using a program made by somebody else to make bases. And it's like, really? And then it's like,
that's like the traditional artist.
Yeah. Like I could code my own website. It's like, well, then you're using computer languages by other people. It's like, what the fuck?
I don't think it's as bad as it used to be, but like traditional artists did not like digital artists because doing art on a digital like program or device was easier because you have the undo button and multiple layers
in like shapes and things.
Yeah, and traditional artists are like using their eraser until it's nothing left.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it gets to a point of it's like, are we really playing a game of suffering right now? Like,
yeah.
Like, just keep enjoying what you're doing. I'm going to keep enjoying what I'm doing. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
But I guess a sort of follow-up question that I had to the whole, like, this was when you started streaming thing. So you said that you were attempting to start making all of the reactive, like, characters for your squad. Was that something that you were doing on the side while you were doing regular Twitch streaming, or were you Twitch streaming making those?
I was doing this. So Maple started I started streaming about 3 months after Maple. It was them who encouraged me to stream the art that I was doing because I was normally just hanging out in her stream and modding chat.
Yeah,
I was mod first. I don't know when you joined the Something Stupid community, but I was invited after Something Stupid was created.
Okay.
Yeah, myself and Spooky are additions.
Okay, and I assume you guys kind of were invited because you were friends with people who were a part of that group.
Well, Maple and the crew, they hosted an event because they wanted to grow and expand.
Yeah.
And I applied like everyone else. Spooky applied. A handful of people had applied. And then I got picked, which everyone was just like, well, we knew Babs was going to get picked because Babs is like a legit friend.
Yeah, exactly.
And I felt bad, but they were like, well, we're going to pick another person to bring someone in and not make it seem
like it's a friend group.
A one-sided thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So we also gained Spooky, and that's been wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah, but I was doodling on my iPad, making the Discord reactives and what have you, which is why I ended up going through 2 chibi models and my current model.
Okay, yeah, that'll make sense. Okay, because
yeah,
so there was a part of this question where it was basically examining like, were you the one who made the decision that it would be appropriate to do all of this stuff? So I guess the answers to those, it was like, it was your decision via some encouragement from your friends to start streaming to do this kind of stuff.
See what happens.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I knew with confidence that my friends wanted to see me draw. They wanted to see me draw the characters that I was doing. They wanted to watch me, draw themselves.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Just have fun. And people started showing up, and I was like, oh, other people like this.
And then somebody paid you or asked to pay, basically.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting to, because again, the question was, when did you decide you were comfortable enough to do this? And then it was, did you decide to make that decision, or did someone else just decide to message you asking if they could pay to get a thing?
I took a couple of commissions, and then I took a break and did some personal art, and commissions are open again. And I feel comfortable making what I make now,
Sweet.
and just continuing the. It's still a fun small side hustle. I'm not like yeah.
Yeah, it's like a big enough side hustle where it's giving you money, but it's small enough where you
It's
also
it's
are
it's like
kind of
my
able to
gas
do
money. It's
anything.
like $20 here and there.
I mean, hey, worth it, probably.
You know what? The gas money though, worth it.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how much gas is where you're from. Where I'm at, it's like 370, maybe a little more.
Yeah, I think 370. Yeah, we can give about another quarter or so.
Sweet. That's a victory in my books. Okay. So this is kind of a weird one. So my friend, the one again who was posing these questions, he has seen certain trends kind of occasionally make their way into like art communities and then quickly leave. One of them was like artists being like, I will give you this character, go turn it into your own aesthetic or turn it into your own style. And to him, that's like what would be classified as an art trend. So he was curious, have there been any trends in the past that have influenced your work or work that you've done in the past? And I guess a side note to that is, in your mind, what would you even classify as an art trend?
So to elaborate on your art trend, a lot of artists do what's called a draw this in your style, where they will draw like maybe their own OC, and then they'll put the hashtag draw this in your style. And a lot of artists will redraw that character using the same color palette in a similar pose, just in their own art style.
Yeah.
I don't participate in the trends. I did try one in the very beginning with that particular art group. And when I got like the bad feedback, I was like, well, I'm not going to do this.
Give up on that
I'm going to
part.
go just do my own thing. However, just very recently, one of the friends I made along the way in that group, Not a Box of Bees, who was using the chibi bases along myself as well, she had a little art contest and I entered it because I felt comfortable. She knew I was using the bases and she loves the art that I create. Yeah. But most of the trends, I don't follow them because I'm not a trendy person.
Fair enough. You're like, I'll
Do
stick
my
to
own
my
thing.
classics, stick to my guns. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Fair.
I'm here to have fun.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to follow the crowd.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I guess then I would beg the question, is it ever something that you ever entertain? Because obviously some trends will come and go and somebody might see that trend and decide like, you know what, let me do a little bit of experimenting, and then they'll try something and then they'll be like, nothing's coming out of this, and then they just kind of throw the whatever in the trash. Is that ever a thing that happens, or do you just ignore the trends, period?
I have come across trends that I have wanted to try, and the ones that I do want to try are like create an OC based off of like things in your room.
Oh.
It's like, oh, let's make a fairy OC, and like you have butterfly wings if your eyes are brown, or you have like moth wings if they're blue, like things like that. They
Yeah.
list things that could be found in your room, or like things like clothes that you're wearing, and then tell you what your fairy wings might be, your antennas, or what have you.
I see.
Though
Okay,
I've
yeah.
come across those, and I find those very intriguing. I just haven't done one yet.
Yeah, I think I kind of see what you're getting at now. So it's kind of like those. I mean, these memes show up on my feed a lot, where it's like, what does your cat think your name is, and then it'll give you like a stupid name based on the first letter of your first name, and then
Yeah.
so it's like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, that's silly.
That's like an art trend that I would try, and
Yeah,
it would be just
lighthearted.
for myself to
Lighthearted,
see
not
like
too time consuming. Well,
yeah, things in my room to build a character.
yeah, art's a time consuming thing, so that makes sense. So okay, okay, so this is a question that I also think is kind of funny. Outside of like the stupid reasons people decide they want to start doing stuff. So I've made it clear time and time again across various social medias that I post that I think sometimes people can't justify the amount of, well, they can justify the amount of money that they end up spending on something to further better their hobby. That from an outsider's perspective, somebody who doesn't partake in that would think is kind of silly. And if you actually look internally within yourself, you realize it is kind of silly. I have a friend who spends a lot of money on Warhammer minis. I spend $60 on a drum kit, which literally just gives me a bunch of sounds with no physicality to them. And I can admit that sometimes it's kind of stupid. So I'm curious if you personally have anything of that nature.
Yeah. It would be the current iPod that I have, which I purchased it a while ago. I have an iPad Air. It's pretty expensive.
Welcome to Apple, my friend.
Yeah. And I purchased it because I only wanted to draw with it, not to like use any of the other fancy features. Anything else that the iPad Air, like all that tech that no, I just wanted to download Procreate. And I got the pen to go with it.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And so Procreate has a layer cap, which is weird. The program is like based on like how much storage space is in the device itself.
Oh.
Like if I make a canvas that's like 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels, it's like, oh, you only have access to 100 layers, which I'm like, that's fine. But as I continue to challenge myself and push my art and do more details, that layer cap started to hit. So I then invested in a Huion tablet. Ironically, it was cheaper than the iPad, but it sat for like 3 months.
That's why?
I had a hard time transitioning with it. Like every time I would try to draw with it, I didn't like the way that it felt, how my line art looked. So I would draw with it and then I would put it away for a couple weeks. I would draw with it and put it away again.
Okay.
But now I have been streaming. All of my last couple streams have been on the Huion.
Oh, okay.
So I'm finally getting comfortable with it. I no longer have that layer cap. So I've been experimenting with larger and larger canvases. The most recent piece was the Sussy birthday art that I did. And that
this is going to be incriminating for me. People are going to be like, who the fuck are you talking to where they're making this kind of thing? I'm like, I can't tell you. I'm not in there for the sus. I'm in there because like I like the group.
It's the only Sussy art it's not the only in a long time.
I was going to say you're perjuring yourself.
It's fine. I mostly do like adorable stuff. But that canvas was like like 5,000 by something. And I'm learning that like the higher and bigger the canvas, like there's just so much more you can do with it. And liner looks better, the pixels look better.
They look less pixely and whatnot.
Yeah, because there's only so many pixels in like the square inch of the canvas. And so the bigger you go, the more you can fit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that makes sense.
It's been fun pushing that barrier.
That's cool. I mean, I'm not okay. If I can level with you for a second, in terms of your iPad and your pen situation, you would not believe I am really what's the word? Irresponsible with my money. And so I have gone through that exact situation trying to get into art 3 times. And I know you're saying those tablets are very expensive. How did you do that? And the answer is I returned them back to the Target that I bought them from, or I went and sold them to somebody for like $50 less than I bought it for.
I felt bad because a friend in our community has asked me, or a number of people have asked me, like, "Oh, what would you recommend to getting into digital art?" And I'm like, well, I mean, like I like customer service hustled for my first iPad.
Yeah,
and like the iPad Air is not cheap, so I'm like, whatever you can afford.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm gonna like skip lunches to get this iPad because this is what I want.
I mean, hey,
But when somebody asks me, and I'm like, oh, just do whatever you can, whatever you can afford.
You're like, they don't understand my history. They don't know, like,
I have the problem. I don't want you to have my problem.
Yeah, exactly. The only things that I've been like, the only tips that I've been given in the past for that kind of thing is like, go and find cheaper equivalents that can give you the same quality. And like, I know they have like people's best interests at heart, but I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I literally, like, the backpack that I carry with me everywhere has probably, I mean, it has, I'm going to say probably $2,000 worth of stuff in it. And probably 60% of that comes from 2 devices that I have in there. I'm like, God,
I feel like that checks out.
you know what? It might be closer to
Like
2,500 because I have some earbuds in there. Nobody rob me,
the
please.
two devices that like hold up the pyramid.
Exactly. Yeah, if anybody listening to this knows me, don't rob me. I'll be very sad. But like that's the kind of thing that I have. So like if somebody asked me that question, I'd probably say the same thing because I don't want to come off as like because I don't want to come off like I'm advocating for income disparity.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, I don't know what your income situation is. You might want to consult the internet for that. All I know is this is how much money I make. This is how I budget my money, and this is how much I spent on my stuff. Take that with a grain of salt, and maybe don't do the same thing unless you are, unless you have the money to do that.
Yeah, I definitely like I get it. Like using like the right now like the different pens, like the Apple Pen and the Huon pen. Um, they're one is heavier than the other, one is larger than the other. One has like a really smooth like pen tip, and the other one has like a rubber. So like it's different, and things like that. You wouldn't think that they matter, but like when you're trying to draw with like digitally, like it feels weird,
Yeah.
And after drawing so long with one and you try to switch, like it feels weird.
You're like, this is going to impair my abilities for the next 3 to 6 business weeks. So no, that's
And
totally
if somebody's trying to get into digital art for the first time, they're probably going to realize that like it doesn't feel like a pencil, it doesn't feel like a pen, but it still feels weird. And they have to like go through like different programs and tablets to kind of feel comfortable before they can even start to create art.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes sense. I mean, that's like step 1 of the process is fucking around. again, just
trying things out, seeing what feels right.
Exactly, until you hit something that sticks, and then you're like, okay, now I can really start to like really figure out what I need to be doing and whatnot. So it totally makes sense. Rubber tips on glass screens akin to those on electronics it makes me uncomfortable. I applaud you for being able to do that. I couldn't fucking do that.
What it does for me is that it offers a slower stabilization.
Oh.
So if I'm like dragging it across the screen, it's gonna move slower rather than the smooth plastic. The smooth plastic is gonna move faster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, so like that was like the adjustment that I had to make for the Huon. The Huon's really smooth, so it catches like quick movements, and I don't move quickly. I'm used to the slow drag.
Oh yeah, I see what you're getting at now.
Yeah, so that's why it sat for 3 months.
You're like, I'll get to it eventually, and now here you are. So that's good. That's good. So cool. All right. I appear to have lost track in my notes, and it's not even notes; it's just bullet points. Oh, here we go. I don't know if you ever do collaborations with other artists, and if you do, what does that process look like? Like, what do you and the other person or people go through?
I've never done an art collaboration before. Well, not in this particular medium, in this just doing cheapies and what have you.
Yeah.
I did one a very long time ago when I was doing texture artwork. I don't know how relatable or relative that is, because the process might be different.
It might be different, but I mean, the process is definitely going to be different across any medium. I feel like I have a slight thought of how it would work, but if you care to explain, absolutely go ahead.
I'm trying to think if I've come across anything on social media of like current art collabs, or like maybe somebody did the line art and then they passed off to another artist to do the coloring and shading.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a thing. I don't know if it's still like done currently. It's like more like an art thing.
Yeah.
like a friend thing, like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this and you do that," rather than like, I don't know, like two big artists just trading things off.
Yeah.
In the collab that I did, we were texturing characters based off the ocean, and we decided to do a water meets sand theme.
Oh.
So I did a character that was like based off of sand and had seashells on it and what have you. And her character was blue and had fish on it. So we posed them together. It was like the water beating the sand at a beach.
Yeah. Oh, that's cute. I like that.
Yeah. It was so long ago. I don't know if I can even find the photo.
But yeah, the basic principle still kind of applies.
Yeah.
Yeah, because immediately because the ways that I was thinking it would probably happen is one of a couple ways, which is one, like you said, you have one person basically doing one part of the process and then giving that quote unquote finished file to somebody else to have them finish the rest of it. Um, there's a thing that I do pretty frequently with my friends, which is I'll literally just be like, get in this Discord call, idiot, and they'll get in the call, and I'll just stream my screen as I'm doing something, and we'll just kind of talk out, processes and do things together in that way. And then the last way is the way that I would imagine a lot of stuff of maybe this nature would go, which is if both of you use the same systems and the same tools to do the same medium. A lot of times when you save a project, it will obviously save it as that file specific file, or that what's the word? That
File type?
yeah, that same file type, and then you send them the file type, and assuming they have all the same assets, it will just load up for them, and then they can just continue making changes.
Would that basically being artists and riggers for VTubers? Essentially.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't understand what kinds of I don't know jack about any kinds of programs that are used for creating or rigging VTubers like that, but I imagine that would probably be the best way to
Yeah,
go for it.
I've been doing my homework on it, so
Ooh.
the most popular program, well, the go-to program for rigging is called Live 2D Cubism. And then a lot of artists, most artists are using Clip Studio Paint to do all their work in. Some use Photoshop. And a smaller pool uses what's it called? Paint Tool Sai. And all of those programs can save as a Photoshop file because that is what Live 2D reads.
Yeah.
And they all have some way of making layers and groups and folders because that's, Photoshop is capable of doing that.
Yeah.
So if you can make that in Clip Studio Paint and you can right click save as a PSD file, it'll open it up and still have all the layers there.
That's impressive. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good to know. Shouts out the Live 2D Cubism. I swear to God, I have seen this application on Steam somewhere. I feel like
I don't think it's on Steam unless there's a very similar name.
I don't know. It said I've been to that website before, and the background image looked really similar. So I think I might be thinking something else. I'm gonna pull my Steam up and just keep going while it's trying to load.
I am very interested to see what Steam has for Live 2D Cubism.
Well, because I went and I installed something because I was trying to figure out how to like make a mock-up character and then realized that I suck at that, so I didn't bother. But oh yeah, no, definitely not. I think it just had a totally different background. Never mind, don't mind me. So okay, this question kind of ties into something I asked earlier, but what like other interests or influences have you had in the past, or stuff that you have right now that's influencing what you're currently working on, or whatever you're trying to get into and experiment with?
I guess I'm just trying to have fun making PNG tubers and just I want to try to get into making overlays and animated overlays.
Okay.
So I am trying to get my hands on Adobe After Effects.
Ooh.
Just because I want to try.
No, totally fair.
Yeah, I want to because I know that I'm I'm like, oh, I went to school for graphic design, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm capable of making an overlay.
Now you just have to
Um,
figure out how to do it.
well, you can make the overlay, but to get like the animated text or like how some overlays have like plants very slowly swaying, you can do that with Adobe After Effects.
Yeah.
So I can make an overlay, but it would just be plain and static, not moving.
Right.
So if I want to do any extra magic to it, pizzazz, I would need an additional program.
That makes sense. Yeah, okay. So
Hmm.
I guess as of right now, you're like PNG tubers are kind of your shtick, but soon TM, uh, you're like, I'm gonna go get After Effects, or maybe that comes a little bit later down the line, and you're like, now I'm gonna start trying to delve
Yeah,
into
I'm
making other
like a
assets.
what do you call it? A jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
I just want to try it. I want to, make a few things, see what I can do, and be like, oh yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah. And if it turns out you don't like it, you're like, well, at least I tried.
I tried it.
Yeah. So okay, that's good to know.
Hmm.
I the questions just keep on coming. I only have 3 more, I swear.
Hmm.
So the next one that I have is you had mentioned earlier how you had gone for like months or maybe even potentially years at a time without doing anything art related because it kind of just stopped, doing it for you.
Yeah.
But especially like maybe as of recently or within the last couple of months, have you ever experienced like the writer's block equivalent for artists? And if you have, what does that look like for you? Like what happens, or
Mm,
like why do you end up stopping whatever you're doing?
I think my latest artist block was somewhere like around Christmas, and I didn't like open commissions for a while. Like a lot of people were messaging me, they wanted like to commission me or what have you, and commissions were closed. But my particular artist block was feeling uncomfortable with the fact that I was using bases, or I felt like people were just judging me harshly,
Yeah.
even though I just wanted to have fun. But also sometimes artist block can just come from like I have this piece here, and no matter what colors that I use, it doesn't look good. So then you'll try a color palette, but then you hate being restricted by a color palette.
Yeah.
Um I also have one right now. I have a um like a pre-made PNG tuber, a farm girl that I was working on. And I love the way she looks. I love her hair. I hate the outfit that I've drawn for her. Like she's in overalls. So it's just been sitting.
There. And you're
um
kind of stuck, and you're like, I don't know if like I don't like these outfit, but I also don't know if I want to just
yeah.
delete everything.
I've come so far, like it's essentially complete. The most of the shading's done. I haven't done shading on the hair. But every time I open the file, I'm like,
This bitch.
not a yeah,
It's
I'm
just
like,
like
it's not the vibe anymore. So yeah, then you just like you keep starting new projects. So that's just like an artist thing, we don't really sometimes complete things. We just keep starting a new project over and over again.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because you have situations where you're like, I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah.
Like I have these core ideas, now I just have to flesh it out more, and now I'm stuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, fair enough. I mean, any creative industry is going to have some form of writer's block for the people. It's just interesting to see like how the symptoms and how the causes affect people differently. So that's good. Well, not the artist block part isn't good, but it's interesting to see how that the impacts of that.
It's always interesting when I like come across like an artist video, because I consume a lot of like art videos on YouTube. Like if I'm not on Twitch, um, or playing music, I'm like, all right, let me go look up an art video and see how different people draw eyes or something.
Oh yeah,
Or I'll watch a speed art video. Because even though it's moving like so quickly, they're like scribbling through the screen, I could still like gather their process
Yeah, because you still kind of know what they're doing at least.
and listen to the story during the video and like, oh, they came across something that sparked them and they got out of their like artist block that they've had for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was just like a balloon or something.
Yeah, like almost anything that you wouldn't normally associate with it. But that's kind of like exactly what you need is something not associated with, like, you're probably thinking about it all the time. So anything that can stop you from thinking about it even for a moment, you're like, bingo, I found it.
Yep.
So that's cool. That's cool. I like that. Maybe I should do that more. Maybe I should go look up YouTube videos whenever I'm stuck doing something. I suppose with art, it's at least a little bit easier because you can visually see what's going on. And with like something like music, it's a little different because you can't always pay attention to the listening part of it. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah. But it's just it's good to just look at other people's craft.
Yeah, exactly. And no one has to know that you looked at the video, so no one can call you cheating. So
Just looking at other people's art process.
yeah, exactly. Just to get inspiration.
Take it for myself.
Yeah, that's a big brain play. Everyone go do that right now. So you do have a formal education in this area, at least to some degree, depending on who's asking. Do you think it's important if somebody wanted to do what you did, do you think having a formal education is an important piece to help them get to that goal?
I feel like it depends on where you want to go. Like if you wanted to do graphic design, you don't have to go to college. And I truly mean that. You can sign up for a course like through Skillshare or something and get the certificate through there. For artists, the most important thing is a portfolio. Like because your portfolio is basically your resume as an artist and it shows your time and dedication to multiple art pieces over a span of time.
Yeah.
Just like a career history. So if you've been drawing since you were young and you kept sketches and like saved different stages of your artwork and you're at some point able to write down the thought process, that's really important for an artist's career.
Because it shows actual tangible evidence of your success rather than I have a college degree and they're like, okay, and
Yeah, I mean, yeah, going to like a big fancy prestigious school for like art or like animation. I feel like animation is probably the one that you would have to go to school for.
Yeah.
But like simple artwork, like you just want to be a freelance artist or it's like what everybody says, just start drawing. It's a slow process. You'll get there. You just have to keep doing it every day.
And at least you're not spending, tens of thousands of dollars on it.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
there's so much free resources that I think people forget about. There's so much like free education, even just on YouTube. How to draw this, how to draw that. Anatomy is on YouTube, but I have some stuff saved and I haven't gone through it yet. Back to anatomy.
They're in the save tab right now. They're on the other screen.
Yeah. At least for very simple art careers, you don't need a formal education.
Yeah. This is interesting. So I have a friend who wanted to learn how to make music. He wanted to be able to sample music like Kanye, which that's not what we're here to talk about. Not about Kanye. But this motherfucker was about to go learn music production in college after he already changed his major 3 times and was about to go spend money on the most expensive workstation that requires a subscription because that's what the professionals use. Meanwhile, everything he needs to learn, he can either find on YouTube, or if he wanted a more concise way to look at it, there's courses that you can spend like $200-300 on, which is what I did. And in that video, or in these training courses, in these videos, this guy basically says, I went to school for music theory and music production, and so much of the stuff they taught me there has absolutely no application in how I actually want to make music in real life because of all these because of all these weird theory things, and sometimes like college education hurts you.
The amount of like education you can get for just a couple $100 besides like a couple grand at a college is, I still believe, just as good enough. And it's funny that you mentioned your friend, because I like an acquaintance. I knew this graphic designer. Went to law school.
Oh Christ.
They went to law school and they were like, I'm gonna just stop this and be a graphic designer. And they just switched. They were in law school, so there's probably student debt. And they were just like, nah, I'm gonna go be a graphic designer. And I'm pretty sure they're thriving.
Yeah, if they're doing
So,
good.
they're doing great. They didn't go to school for graphic design. They were just like, I'm just gonna do it.
That's a kick in the face to their college. Like, what the fuck? What do you mean you're dropping out to become a graphic designer? No professional education.
Out of law school.
Out of law school. Like, are you kidding me? It's like, what the hell?
Yeah,
What the hell are you gonna do?
I don't
want to
be that person's parents, but like, I mean, she's thriving right now.
Man, I sure hope that she made the change like not too long into their education.
I don't know the formal details. I just know that they were like, "Oh, I was in law school," and I was just like, "Look, graphic design." And I was like, "I mean, you do you. More power to you."
Cool, I guess. Like, well, no, actually, just no pretext. That's cool. It's just very bizarre.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I guess a part of that then is like, in simple terms, what are the things you did learn from your formal education that you think have very real world impacts on what you're doing today that like are constantly helping you?
My goodness. From my formal education, probably color theory, and that's about it.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean the anatomy, but I lost it, because I didn't keep up with my craft.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah. I did take a painting class, so that was fun. That just like went hand in hand with my learning color theory. But that's something I picked up from college that stuck with me. Nothing.
If that's not an endorsement for higher education, then I don't know what is, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, for graphic design, you really don't need it. If you want to be a graphic designer or I don't know, like a character designer, I'm pretty sure you don't need a formal education for being even just a character artist.
Yeah.
If you're really good at like putting in small details in a design, you just need your portfolio.
Yeah, exactly.
You just need to show your process.
Yeah, and like most of the quote unquote jobs that you're gonna find. Well, no, I shouldn't say quote unquote. Most of the jobs you're gonna find in that area, it's not like anything where they like need a college education, because a lot of the stuff that you're gonna find is probably going to be through word of mouth on the internet. So just any proof of your skill is
your
good
showcase.
enough. Exactly. Yeah.
There's a website called Behance, and it's for majority of creatives, for like people who do graphic design, people who do coding and programming, and artists alike.
Oh, yeah,
and there's even pixel artists that are on there, and most of them are just like freelancers, and they get picked up by companies. Yeah, and it's a website that you use to showcase your artwork in a professional manner.
Yeah.
And a company will be like, I really like your process. I like your art. You show consistency, or you show variation in different styles.
Yeah.
A lot of companies actually like seeing variations. So yeah.
Yeah. I pulled up the website right now, and I don't know how to navigate this website, but this place is kind of dope.
Behance?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the professional like art place for like, instead of LinkedIn, Behance is like for the artist people.
I hear you. That makes sense. Yeah. Because LinkedIn's not helping the artists. I don't think they have.
No, it's not.
So, all right, cool. I don't even know if I can do anything with that information, but it's pretty cool. So I'm happy.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, that's sweet. The last question that I have, and this could be a wash. Are there any other details that you think are important to give to people that were not talked about over the course of this?
Information that I can give to people, it's cliche, but just do what makes you happy.
And drop out of law school if it.
Literally, I mean, yeah. I mean, I stopped drawing for a long time because I was on my career hustle, and I was just like, oh, I I just want to draw something and not have to deal with the process of sketching. I'm just gonna pick up these chibi bases and call it a day.
Yeah.
And it's led me to here.
All right, cool. So yeah, I guess that's the biggest piece. I think, as mentioned before, use all your resources to your advantage, and just keep on keeping on, brother.
Yeah, I didn't think people were gonna want to commission me for stuff. I was just drawing my friends.
Yeah, and in a similar vein, I don't think you expected to be on here, but through enough clever convincing, here you are.
There's people out there that think I'm like cool, I guess.
Cool. Yeah.
I guess.
I thought you were going to say there's people who think that you are like a fraud, and I'm like, well, they're probably not going to find this podcast, so it's fine.
Yeah, no. That's my favorite term. Fuck them.
Yeah, fuck them. That's fuck 'em. Hell yeah. All right, cool. Well, that's a wrap. So thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate it. If really, you've mentioned a lot of people in this, and so plug away. And I will try and paste as many of the links as I possibly can in the description. Shouts out everyone.
Of course, I know I dropped Lumi's name earlier, Spooky, when we got recruited. My crew, the Something Stupid. I love what we're doing. I wouldn't be part of this community without them. And we're building something. I don't know what it is, but it's growing.
It's certainly stupid.
It's it's something stupid.
I can't not make that joke every single time the group comes up because I think it's silly.
Yeah, the whole crew with Weebo and Light and Lobster. Yeah.
Shouts out everyone in the Something Stupid everywhere. If there's any social media that you want to plug for yourself or where people can find you, plug away. And again, I'll try and paste all the links.
Oh my gosh. I mean, definitely my Twitch for sure. With I don't know where Twitter's going anymore. You mean I'm active on Twitter, but I basically reshare a lot of art.
Oh, okay.
My old tag for Babbit was Babbit IMVU. So you just Babbit space and then those 4 letters. And some old art would pop up. And then obviously I'm sure anything under Babbit things, new art is gonna generate.
Yeah, it seems like more information comes up here than I thought. The interesting thing is that Google Images pulls up your information, or pulls up a picture of your character. It pulls up Weebo's character, and it pulls up Maple's character.
Yeah, well, because we're a bunch of peas in the pod.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I guess that's the simplest endorsement is if you search up Babbit things on the internet, all one word, you will more than likely find what you're looking for. That's my mantra. That's my mantra. If you don't know what you're looking for, search up the names of what you're looking for, and you'll probably find what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's creepy but cool at the same time.
Creepy if you think about it in a personal sense. Cool if you think about it in like a businessy sense.
For you. Yeah. But at the same time, it's also like I'm leaving a footprint on the internet.
Yeah, and that's pretty dope. While you're there on the internet, there's also a bunch of other places that you can find anything. Again, there's all the links in the description, but I am also all over the fucking internet. You search up DJ Cereal Sauce, much in the same way you'll find everything you're looking for. I'm also on Twitch. I have an Instagram, but it's not for business purposes. I have a Twitter, but Twitter is bad. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, any music that you have.
Oh, that's cool with all the music stuff. Yeah.
Thank God for distribution platforms. Shouts out DistroKid, even though it's just a service. And again, my final words to you, if you can't find what you're looking for, you just search it up on the internet if the links are too hard.